Headlines are screaming about an all-out war, but the data suggests something far more calculated. Why did Washington and Tel Aviv wait until Iran was days away from a nuclear breakout to strike? And why target specific facilities while explicitly ruling out regime change? The answer isn't moral outrage, it's strategic theater. This wasn't a prelude to invasion. It was a high-stakes signal sent not just to Tehran, but to Beijing and Moscow. The window for American patience has closed, yet we are still playing by rules that prevent total collapse. To understand this moment, you must look past the chaos of daily reporting and examine the precise timing. For 47 years since 1979, relations between the United States and Iran have been defined by a cycle of hostility and negotiation. But history shows us that when diplomatic channels fail, states often resort to force only as a last resort. The critical variable here was not emotion, but an intelligence-driven necessity regarding time. By June 2025, reports indicated that Iranian uranium enrichment had accelerated rapidly, reaching a stockpile equivalent to 10 nuclear weapons within days of the strike. This created what strategists call a 7-day breakout window. The decision to act now was driven by this ticking clock rather than impulsive aggression. If Washington waited any longer, the capability would have been irreversible through diplomatic means alone. The United States and Israel exploited a specific military opportunity that had opened only after prior Israeli strikes degraded Iranian air defenses. This created a fleeting chance for deep penetration attacks that were previously impossible to execute without massive collateral damage or failure. This brings us to the tactical reality of what occurred during Operation Midnight Hammer, which marks a distinct pivot from containment to calibrated kinetic deterrence. The operation targeted 3 critical sites: Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. What makes this strike historically significant is not just the targets themselves, but the unprecedented tactics employed against them. For decades, the underground enrichment hall at Fordow was considered invulnerable due to its deep burial under a mountain of solid rock. Quick resource note: I keep a curated set of Amazon search links in the description for books, gear, and tools relevant to this channel's topics. Some are affiliate links, so I may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. Please consider supporting the channel by using those links if you find something useful. In this operation, that assumption was shattered by the use of 30,000-pound bunker busters, specifically designed to penetrate those depths. This represents a technological shock rather than just standard bombing. The intent was clear: inflict severe damage on Iran's ability to produce fissile material while leaving enough state infrastructure intact to force a return to negotiations. Pentagon officials explicitly stated that the objective was resetting deterrence, not regime change or occupation. This distinction is vital for understanding why this event does not mirror the strategic failures of Iraq in 2003 or Libya in 2011. In those instances, kinetic action spiraled into prolonged insurgency and state collapse because the goal included removing leadership structures entirely. Here, the calculus was different. The United States sought to neutralize a specific capability without shattering the regime that could negotiate its replacement. Killing Supreme Leader Khamenei or invading the country would have triggered a power vacuum leading to chaos. Something Washington has learned from past mistakes is strategically counterproductive. Instead, the goal is to create enough pain and uncertainty in Tehran's leadership calculus to force them back into a negotiation posture without triggering their own collapse mechanisms. This approach signals that American patience had closed regarding nuclear proliferation, but remains open for diplomatic resolution if conditions change. The strikes were designed to demonstrate resolve while avoiding the strategic trap of regime change, which historically leads to power vacuums filled by hostile actors or prolonged instability. However, the immediate aftermath is where the true test of this strategy lies. Iranian response patterns suggest they will likely choose a low-escalation form of retaliation rather than full-scale war. Analysts predict actions such as cyber attacks and targeted strikes against unmanned systems to demonstrate resolve without triggering a broader regional conflagration. This aligns with realpolitik logic. Tehran must show it has not been humiliated, but it also knows that escalating further risks, inviting the very destruction they are trying to avoid through their nuclear program. Yet, there is a risk in this calculus. If casualties mount or missile counts rise significantly during these retaliatory phases, the rational drivers of deterrence could be overridden by emotional factors like fear and honor among military commanders and political factions within Iran. This creates a tipping point where the calculated response spirals into something uncontrollable. The strategic gamble is that both sides can manage this tension without crossing lines that make de-escalation impossible. The hidden target of these strikes, however, extends far beyond Tehran. While Iranian leaders feel the physical and psychological pain, the real audience for this display includes Beijing and Moscow, observing how Washington handles nuclear proliferation without a ground war. For over 47 years, adversaries have watched U.S. military engagements with skepticism regarding American endurance and strategic clarity. This operation demonstrates that Washington retains the capability to neutralize nuclear threats with precision while avoiding the quagmires of large-scale invasions. This redefines how great power competition is fought in the 21st century. It signals to rivals like China and Russia that the United States prefers surgical deterrence over regime change wars, which drain resources and create long-term instability. The strategic takeaway for global observers is not about who won a specific battle on June 2025, but how limited kinetic force can reset global power dynamics without triggering World War III. It establishes a new precedent where technology and precision replace mass mobilization as the primary tools of statecraft in nuclear disputes. The stakes extend to every viewer following international news, because this sets the template for future crises involving North Korea or other proliferating states. The message is clear. There are red lines that cannot be crossed, but crossing them does not require total war if the response is calibrated correctly. By targeting specific facilities and avoiding regime collapse, Washington has carved out a new path in the fog of geopolitical conflict. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I am a one-person team working hard to make each video better than the last. Subscribe if you found value. It is the best way to show support. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. See you in the next video.